I've not held a microphone ever, so we're going to try this out. Yeah, are we ready? A number of years ago, I answered an ad on Craigslist that, in my memory at least, was comprised of one incomplete sentence: "Need someone to draw houses." I wasn't sure what exactly this entailed, but I was home with 3 little boys and looking to get out of the house with a flexible schedule. And I also have 2 degrees in architecture, so I was pretty sure I could draw a house. In the following 4 years, I drew over 1,200 houses. As it turned out, the job was to draw floor plans for real estate marketing. Though I felt overqualified, the work was easy and it was fast-paced. I completed plans with one-day turnarounds, though, which was tiring. A few times, I drew 8 houses in a day. And despite working part-time, I managed at one point to draw 61 properties in a month. Sometimes people want plans because the house is so fancy that they want all the marketing bells and whistles. And sometimes they want floor plans because the house is so decrepit that pictures can't really be taken. And the plans give some sense of the house. My favorite houses to visit have been those that haven't changed hands in decades, or the empty houses. I'd been casually taking snapshots here and there as the mood struck. I started to feel like I had unintentionally begun to have a collection of images that meant something to me. I really enjoyed not knowing each day what I might come across while drawing. And I liked looking at the spaces not as a real estate photographer has to while cataloging a house, but as someone who can insert my own individual vision. I timidly started sharing a few images with architecture grad school friends. Their enthusiastic response often remarked on how perfect it seemed that I, of all people, got to have access to empty spaces. I'd been known in grad school photography class for making any space look like a barren landscape. In the academic setting, we're presented repeatedly with architecture greats, the meticulously crafted and expertly considered homes that are typically built as one-offs for the select few who can afford it. It's useful to study those houses as they set a very high bar for what we may aspire to in our own projects. But I've really enjoyed, by comparison, seeing how most people really live. I've learned that there are some really good aspects to a well-done center hall colonial or certain variations of a split-level house. No one was going to tell me that in architecture school. But I've also seen some exceptionally bad decisions, or at least a noticeable lack of consideration. Let's see, I'm going a little fast. This one. If there were any windows in this wall, each would have a view of acres of landscaped common space with a pond. If there were, say, French doors, the owners could even access that deck. The house that made me think that I might have something worth sharing came at the end of an exhausting day of drawing. It was a giant, empty McMansion, and in an upstairs bedroom I discovered this mural. And then I discovered that the basement was painted as a tiki lounge, and in the attic was a huge full-size Hokey Bird mascot emerging from a stadium into a row of neatly painted box bushes. Interestingly, the garage in that house, the windows were adorned with formal curtain valances. I felt I needed the photos to believe what I'd seen. I've seen plenty of spaces in which a designer or architect has been involved, but I really prefer those spaces that show people's individual personalities or reflect the very specific ways that they assemble and inhabit their homes. There is also often an element of performance in the spaces. The homeowners know that their home is being put on display. Numerous properties have been optimized for the marketing materials. Agents often rely on uniform, neutral palette painting and staging at each of their properties. I occasionally wonder what it would look like to collect all of an agent's photos into one portfolio presenting one single giant house. My favorite staging is when one piece of the owner's furniture has been left behind as a sort of scale factor, a suggestion as to how the room might be used in the future. Sometimes I felt a space was too intimate to share. Often I feel considerable affection for the person that has so carefully put their home together. I don't want my sharing of a photo to be misunderstood as a criticism. Though anonymous, I don't want their homes to be scrutinized out of context. I don't typically take or share any of these photos, ironically. Speaking of personal, I find that I enjoy bedroom decor. It's often distinct and personal and frequently more creative than the other areas of the house. And more than once, I drew a bedroom while someone was inexplicably still in bed. More than once. I appreciate vignettes where particular pairings to me transcend the spaces they're in. I adore this side table of stacked metallic stereo components supporting a gold cherub lamp. Sometimes I walk in a room and something like this presents itself and it's thrilling. Other times I walk in a room and I feel like there's something great there, but I just can't manage to capture it. After 1,200 houses, it's easy to feel you've seen it all. It's a treat to be taken by surprise, as I was with this deer seemingly looking up expectantly at a looming trapdoor, or with a full-size hot tub in a tiny room with just 2 regular-sized doors. I have no idea how the hot tub got in that room. I've come across 1 tanning bed, 1 coffin, a house full of fabulous portraits, 1 completely mirrored room, and 3 putting greens. I also enjoy seeing people's collections, whole rooms dedicated to Christmas decor, closets full of fur coats, basements packed with bicycles, a garage wall with an array of banana stickers apparently representing every banana they've ever eaten. Doll collections. Some homes felt a little spooky. I often let myself into these houses, and I might then come across a coffee and newspaper on the breakfast table, and it would feel as if the homeowner had just stepped out of the room. I would then spend the whole time there wondering if I was going to come across a person. Many of my favorites often have to do with what I find to be satisfying compositions of elements through which homeowners interact with their building systems. The same way that 1 piece of staging furniture gives a room scale, likewise the thermostats, the light switches, the air vents, they also give scale to a space. At another time in my life, I spent weeks examining photos of mid-century houses for evidence of mechanical controls. I've long been interested in standards of comfort and air conditioning in American pop culture, having written my undergrad thesis on the topic. So looking back, I feel I've been especially primed to enjoy this opportunity to explore so many domestic spaces. The economics of this job meant I had to move very quickly through each house, but photography has helped me see this as a sort of investigation, or at the very least made me excited about what I might find each day. By now, people have since moved, the home often renovated or even torn down. It's likely that most of these spaces I've shown no longer exist as I photographed them, and I'm glad to have had the chance to document these moments.